Hey Chopper, this viewer's not subscribed.
Car D Kaizoku.
This video is sponsored by Nengarden. Nengarden is holding a Black Friday sale. You can get 40 to 60% off site-wide. This stacks with my promo code CardKaizoku for an additional 5% off on top of the sale. Pre-orders for the Heavenly Yaksha playmat are opening back up, so this is the perfect time to snag one up. And again, my promo code stacks with this sale, so don't forget to use it. Just want to save y'all a couple bucks. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. Discover the latest OP10 deck list on gumgum.gg, updated daily. Be the first to see decks for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, OP09 drops for us in about a little over a week now. And yeah, that means it's time to do another one of these speculative tier lists. This is us trying to speculate how the Western meta is going to form with prior knowledge of what the East went through, and then just from my own experimenting with 09 early. Right, because I've been playing the set a little early for every set now. So I have a little bit of first-hand experience to judge these decks by. This time around, the meta circumstances aren't different from Japan, right? For OP08, they had Red Purple Law for a couple months, but it was preemptively banned for us. So because of that, we had like differing metas, right? But for 09, so far at least, they haven't announced anything drastic for the English version of the game. So it's going to match Japan. So I don't expect it to deviate too much. Aside from like what I noticed is like the personal playstyles of people from the East versus the West. So with that in mind, we're gonna make this tier list predictions, and we'll see how right we are in a couple weeks once like some tournaments happen. And I think like freaking the nationals, it's gonna happen in July in OP09 format for us. So excited to see what decks will top there. Right, we'll start off with the new OP09 leaders just to get them out of the way. So Shanks, I actually think he might be A tier. Oh, by the way, the order and the tiers don't matter. So Shanks A tier. I think a lot of people would put him in S maybe, but I don't think he deserves S. Right, he's a really strong deck, but he's pretty one-dimensional. Right, it's kind of like the new yellow Katakuri in a way. And yeah, just going by like tournament results, here you can check out gumgum.gg, my wonderful sponsor. They have the championship series tournament top 8s and stuff logged here. There's not a single Shanks in top 2, no finals with the Shanks in it. And do note that this is not the complete list of top 8s and top 16s from the championship series. For some reason, those tournaments are run by Bandai and they don't release the deck lists for the entire roster, right? It's whatever people can find that the players themselves posted. I think usually through Twitter. For some reason, that's just how it works in Japan, I guess. But yeah, usually they'll have like the first place, second place, third and fourth place. So I'm basing it off how many times they show up at those placements, because those are for sure going to be online. So because of that, I don't think I can put them higher than A. Might even be high B, but I'll put them in A for now just to be optimistic. Because I think the West is kind of liking Shanks more than the East is, just from like general sentiment I see online. Up next is Lim. So Lim, I tried her out recently. She's F for now. Maybe O10 saves her, because she does get some new support. There's like a new Mihawk card that lets you restand and lets you like attack twice. So yeah, that would make her have new avenues for lethal, but at the moment she just feels horrible to play. It's a ramp to 9-cost Zoro deck at the moment. Likewise, Buggy is also F. And yeah, in my very first impression video of Buggy, I thought he was like the worst leader ever. And then I'll admit I did get a little swayed by the comments, because there was so many comments saying that like, no, Buggy's not as bad as you think, you're just playing it wrong. No, Buggy's not bad. But so because of that, like I conceded that yeah, maybe I'm just not a Buggy player. And maybe the like people who dedicate themselves to Buggy can do well with Buggy, but no, in the end, Buggy is literally the worst leader of 09, right? His deck doesn't do what it's like designed to do well at all. He does get some promo cards, like three promo cards that finally makes the deck playable, I'd say. But that's not going to be released for us right off the bat. But right when OP09 releases those promo cards, we don't even know how we're going to get them. So yeah, just on release, Buggy is not a playable deck like in any regard. So he's F tier for sure. He might go to like C or B once those promo cards release, and that's only like because of his merit as like a blue Doflamingo counter because of those new cards. But until then, he's F tier. Up next is Purple Black Luffy. So I think he kind of belongs where Shanks is, right? He is kind of like a hybrid between the ramp OP05 Luffy and then like the black starter deck 14 Luffy, because he has access to the Sanjis and the Gekko Morias, but he also has the purple late game that you can ramp to with the 3-cost Zoros and stuff. So he's kind of like, what's that saying? Like, jack of all trades and master of none. He does get to run a lot more blockers, right? He runs the best blockers in purple and black, and then you recur it with Gekko Moria, and then you Gum Gum Giant. So in that regard, he's very defensive. He's more defensive than both purple and black Luffy. But at the moment, the meta kind of doesn't really call for that. And then we have purple yellow Robin. She might be F as well. It's just the purple and yellow synergy. It's like trigger heavy, but then all she does with the triggers is ramp 1. And then once you ramp to 10, you just like a play big stuff deck with 1 less life because you're dual color. The banish part is nice, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like Robin has like a distinct play style at the moment. It's kind of like the green yellow Yamato. Well, in that case, no, green yellow Yamato is that like a rogue deck sometimes. So maybe I'll put Robin in C. And speaking of, we'll put Yamato there too, since I talked about them. And then we'll finish it off with Blackbeard. So at the moment, it's looking like Blackbeard might be an S tier deck, right? Just based off the meta showings. You see how many Blackbeards here are in top 8. He's even won some, I think. Right, he won the Fukuoka one. He got first in the Hokkaido one, and he got like second against like the Luchi and Miyagi. So yeah, I can't deny that Blackbeard's going to be a top tier deck. I think he might even be more popular in the West than he is in the East. Because what I noticed, the trend, the East likes aggro, West likes control, drawn out games that take the whole like 30 minutes of playtime and then go into overtime. I don't know, Western players really love overtime for some reason. That's just what I notice at tournaments, right? I like to one and done my games, get it over in 10 minutes, but I always see like a couple stragglers taking like the whole 35 minutes to play. So because of that, Blackbeard I think is an S. His deck is really oppressive too, right? He outright denies your opponent from using their on plays, which is like the strongest mechanic in the game at the moment. That's how they kind of power creep the game in this direction. So Blackbeard has been like a nice stopgap to like stop that before it gets too out of hand. And it has forced them to print more like activate main effects, right? Because Blackbeard himself can't use on plays, so activate main is starting to get more of a resurgence as of lately. And because of that, I have to introduce this like new tier here of decks that are good, but then like just outright gets shut down by Blackbeard. But we'll move on to the non-OP09 leaders. So first off is Purple Luffy. I do think he's also an S tier deck. Just based on the showings here, we see him in top 8 quite often. He's won the Hiroshima one, he's in Fukuoka, he's in Hokkaido. Since he was able to like top 1 championship series tournament, and like from my own personal experience with them, this is my most played deck. So I do feel like Purple Luffy is an S tier deck at the moment. He's just able to play out so many bodies, and there are substantial bodies. They're bigger than Doflamingo's bodies, and then his deck relies a lot on plays too as well, right? You have Zorojuro who searches a card for you. You have Luffy Taro who cheats out a second Straw Hat. You have your Onamis that draw you cards, and then you have your Queens that draw you cards. Usohachi to tap their blockers, and then you have 9-cost Luffy with Rush. 9-cost Linen who can heal you and then get rid of one of your opponent's characters. So yeah, all the strong effects in Purple Luffy are like locked into on plays. So in that regard, he kind of does have a little bit of a weakness against Blackbeard in regards to the on plays, but the reason he's not in the good but dice of Blackbeard tier is because even despite not having access to on plays, the fact that he can ramp and then play like 2 bodies every turn can overwhelm a Blackbeard in the end. So he does have a fighting chance against Blackbeard, right? Depending on the cards that you get, you might actually be favored into Blackbeard if you're getting all your 5 costs and your 4 costs that you can play like 2 at a turn. Yeah, and against every other deck that can't deny his on plays, he's just able to curve out like an incredibly formidable board. And that's thanks to him getting access to like a Searcher Law this meta in 09. It increases his consistency of playing your 7-cost Luffy like a lot, the Luffy Taro. Because the games where you drop Luffy Taro, or even like 2 Luffy Taros, they feel a lot better than the games where you don't drop any, right? I think 90% of the games where you drop 2 Luffy Taros, you win with this deck. Up next, we have Red Blue Marco. So I think he might actually be an A tier deck, right? He's especially good into a lot of the meta decks at the moment, right? Blue Doflamingo, he can handle pretty well. The Luffy deck, I think he can also handle really well, since a lot of his characters like to turn sideways to swing, right? Marco can debuff them and make it easier to like pop them, or even attack into them, right? Minus 2k on the leader ability is really strong. Rayleigh is good at dealing with whiteboards too. You're able to debuff 2 things, potentially kill 1. I would say he only really struggles against like Shanks, right? The big bodies are hard to do anything about, even if you're trying to trade into it. And potentially Blackbeard, because a lot of the value in your late game is that Sanji into another 9-drop combo, which the Blackbeard can't deny. And then he mostly doesn't play characters out until he gets to his 10 beard, right? Everything he plays out before that is like stuff that he wants to die anyway to preserve life. So Marco's leader ability giving -2k doesn't really do too much against Blackbeard. But yeah, against every other like combat focused deck, Marco does really well with. We do see a lot of like purple in the meta. Up next we have Bonnie. So Bonnie is going to be an S tier deck for sure. Right, we see a Bonnie in the Hyoga Championship Series. That might be the only one actually. We'll see one in Manila too at the Bandai Card Fest. But yeah, even though Bonnie isn't showing too much in the East, I feel like the West has a hard-on for Bonnie. Oh, cut that part out. She's like a kid. I mean, like they really prefer mid-range to late game control green decks in the West, right? We saw that back in OP01 where like Green Kid was all the craze, all the hype. And then we saw like the Film Kid version, and then we saw Uta pop off in the West. So yeah, I do think Bonnie is going to be a lot more popular here than she was in Japan. Bonnie has been a popular pick since like OP07 when she released, right? She's always stayed at the top meta. It's just her leader ability is so generic and so like evergreen that like I don't think it'll ever lose value because she can just outright stop one attack, right? Every deck they want to attack, well, besides like Nami, but barring the Nami self-mill deck, every other deck wants to attack you with characters and their leader, right? So just inherently, that's always going to be a useful thing to be able to manipulate with the Bonnie leader ability. Now, she doesn't get any new cards, but I still think whatever package she has at the moment still fares really well into the meta. Now, Blackbeard can negate Bonnie's effect with the 10 cost Blackbeard. So even if you leave a Dawn up, you won't be able to tap something with her. So that's something to worry about. But if you run like the 8 cost Kid version, that character doesn't rely on plays at all. So you're able to cheat out blockers, protect it, wall up. It does fantastically well into Blue Doflamingo as well. So I do think like Bonnies are going to have to shift more towards like the 8 cost Kid playstyle. There's also Black Yellow Luffy, so he's S tier as well. Just based off tournament showings, we see Black Yellow Luffy. I think he won one recently. Yeah, he won the Hyoga Championship Series. It was a Black Yellow Luffy mirror here. Also showed up in Miyagi and then even in Taiwan it looks like. But yeah, the West also loves this deck, right? The deck that won Nationals in Dallas, that Jackson won. That was a Black Yellow Luffy. Every like pro player in the West has a Black Yellow Luffy masterclass for some reason. So yeah, I do suspect that he'll stay at the top here. Now Blackbeard can deny his 8 cost Gecko Moria combo, right? Because it's on play. But I think you can play around it. You just have to be more cognizant of what you're like countering with and discarding to your discard. Then yeah, against every other deck, he's as good as he ever was. I do notice that Purple Luffy, if you get aggro enough early on, can like just mow down a Black Yellow Luffy and then like get rid of his blockers in the late game to go for game. But barring that, I think Black Yellow Luffy still does well against every other deck. Up next we have Smoker. I might put him in A. He kind of feels like somewhere between A and B. I'll put him in A for now just to make the Smoker fans happy. But yeah, Smoker having the advantage of a deck that does pretty well into Blackbeard actually. Right, he doesn't get outright shut out like every other black deck, like Luchi does, because Tashigi's KO effect is activate main, right? That bypasses Blackbeard's on-play restriction, and then you can even play like the 9 cost Kaido that activate mains to trash the 7 costs. So because of that, just based off of that, you're able to do sort of the similar things that a Luchi can do that would make him like a top tier deck, but also play around Blackbeard. So I think because of that, Smoker does have some merit there. Now, Reiju would be the first deck I would put in good, but dies to Blackbeard. Pretty much every of the suited up Germa 66 siblings have on-play effects, besides like Yonji, right? Niji bounces a 2 cost, no, kills a 2 cost and bounces a 4 cost. Ichiji gains rush and gives -2k to something. Reiju draws you 2 cards. You don't have access to any of that once Blackbeard uses his leader ability against you. So because of that, yeah, I think Reiju, against every other deck, I think she's actually really good, right? She's able to pump out a lot of early value that you can't really deal with until you're at your late game, but by then you're like almost dead. But just the fact that if you happen to match into a Blackbeard, it's like guaranteed loss. Right? It's similar to like Red Purple Law back in the day, right? Where Law always had less Dawn than the Reiju, so she could never use her card effects. This is kind of the same thing. Blue Doflamingo would be S tier, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious. You see how overrepresented he is. Now, the thing to note is he hasn't won a championship series, I don't think. Let me check again real quick. Okay, he won Manila, but then none of the tournaments in Japan he won. He got top 8 a lot. He might be the most top 8ingest deck, but has not yet secured a top 1 in Japan. So I think just based off the virtue of like, he might just be easy to play, but like hard to top at the very top levels. But yeah, because of that, you can't deny that he's an S tier deck. I don't think he's as big of a menace as everyone is making him out to be though. Especially since we've had like 3 months of Japan figuring out, or more than 3 months because of 8.5, right? So 8.5 in Japan up until now of the Eastern meta figuring out how to play against Doflamingo, and then we had our own kind of mini first-hand experience because 8.5 is out for us. So I think by the time that he's actually in the 09 meta, I don't think he's going to be as like dominating, right? Everyone kind of knows how to play against him now. Everyone has tech against him. These are the decks that all like do well against Blue Doflamingo too, up in the S tier here. But can't deny that he should be an S tier deck. Up next is Bello Betty. So Bello Betty, I want to be good, but she might be a C tier deck, right? She did get new cards in this set, so I wanted to include her on the tier list at least, but I don't think it's enough to save her. Maybe a B actually, because we did see one Bello Betty in the Hyoga Championship Series here. So at least she got top 16, but it's a one of, but it might just be because she's not a popular deck. But since she topped, I'll put her in B for now. Just my own personal bias because I really like the deck. So Red Purple Luffy. Red Purple Luffy might also be an A tier deck. Not quite S tier. I think just brought down by the fact that he's a 3 life leader. He gets the best parts of red, best parts of purple, and then he's a 6k base leader. The only thing is that he's really easy to kill. It's helped a little bit in 09 because of Gum Gum Giant, but still, I think he can get overwhelmed by Doflamingo, he can get overwhelmed by Purple Luffy, and then the Blackbeard can cancel out his like 9 cost Whitebeards at the like later stages of the game. Even like shuts down the 10 cost Luffy like double a turn play that Red Purple Luffy uses to like finish people off. And then with Bonnie can just tap any of his big characters. So because of that, Red Purple Luffy I don't think deserves to be any higher than A. Did he even have any showings in Japan? Okay, he had one in Indonesia. That's not Japan. All right, I casted this game. It was really hard to watch, but the winner of this Bandai Card Fest in Indonesia was a Red Purple Luffy, but no other showings in Japan or any other parts of Asia. Next we have Enel. I think Enel might be kind of torn between A and B. Enel has a wonderful matchup into Blue Doflamingo. Oh, but you freaking Blackbeard, right? Yeah. Good, but dice to Blackbeard. Because Blackbeard, 10 cost Blackbeard can just deny Enel's leader ability. So when he has multiple out and he's swinging for 12k, you can't rely on your leader ability to give you that one extra layer of super armor. But I can't deny, he's good against like Doflamingo. That's about it. That's his merit. But we did see a few Enels here. I saw it somewhere. Two Enels in Hokkaido. Oh, this was what, Championship Elementary? Is this like kids? A kids tournament? Wait, he did get top 8 once, and then in Miyagi too. He did get 2 top 8s. Now I have to put him in good and dice to Blackbeard. Green Purple Doflamingo might be a B tier deck. I think he does really well into flood decks like Purple Luffy and then Blue Doflamingo. Right, Birdcage prevents the Sanjis and Zorojuros from attacking. Birdcage stops all of Blue Doflamingo's characters from attacking. It also stops like Cavendishes and Urujus and Bonnie. It stops the Sabos and Luffys from attacking and Black Yellow Luffy. Does Green Purple Doflamingo depend on plays though? I would say not really, right? So I think he might even have a good time against Blackbeard. Truth be told, I haven't played this matchup, Green Purple Doflamingo into Blackbeard, but just the feeling I get is that it doesn't get too affected by Blackbeard's leader ability. So I'm gonna have to put him in B. He does well into Bello Betty too with the Birdcage build. And then yeah, in Smoker and Purple Black Luffy, they run like the Sanjis and then the Tashigis. Those can't attack after a Birdcage. Doesn't do too well against Shanks because yeah, he's just playing your late game. And then Red Purple Luffy too. But yeah, I think he does well enough into the top decks, like at least half of them, that he deserves to be in B. Then we have Blue Nami, who would be good if it weren't for Blackbeard. So she is good but dice to Blackbeard. Again, with the 10 cost Blackbeard, if they activate it and nullify your leader ability, you cannot use like a Love Beam to deck yourself out or any of your counter events. You have to deck out on your own turn and not when your opponent attacks you. But in a Nami deck, most of your milling is done when your opponent attacks you, so just not being able to win that way kind of makes it awkward for you. It's not the end of the world though, so maybe she might be C. What did I say, T? But But since I don't really have any experience with the deck, it just sounds like she would die to Blackbeard. And I do predict Blackbeard's going to be really popular, so I think it's going to be hard to avoid playing against Blackbeard. So we'll put her in here for now. Could change. And then starter deck 14 Luffy. I never really liked this deck. It just feels like a worse version of Luchi, right? And then since Smoker can play against Blackbeard better, I might put him in C tier. I mean, yeah, he is just as good as he is now. It's just that with Blackbeard just brings him down. I don't think it outright kills him, but I think just Smoker does better into Blackbeard than Luffy does, so I would rather play Smoker instead. So we put him in C. Red Purple Kid is an F tier deck. He did get some new support, so I wanted to include him in this list, but it does not help him at all. I just don't know how this deck is supposed to like win, because yeah, they added cards to mitigate his like -1k at the beginning of the game, and then once you get to your late game, you're not even like a ramp deck, but you're a deck that swings for big numbers from your leader, but you don't have a way to like untap your leader to attack again. I don't know. Also, Green Black Perona might be a C tier deck. It does well into like Blue Doflamingo, but that's about it. I just wanted to include Perona because people like Perona. I think OP10 though, OP10, sorry. She might be like A tier in OP10, but for now, C. Zoro is now an F tier deck because Doflamingo exists, unfortunately. That's the state of aggro at the moment. Katakuri is also C tier. I don't know why Katakuri always shows up every meta in some capacity. Right, we keep thinking he's gonna go away, but he just comes right back, even when he doesn't get any new support. So I have to at least put him in C and respect that. I think Foxy is a B tier deck. We did see Foxy in one tournament. Which one was it? In Fukuoka? Right, Foxy got top 8 here. I think there were 2 Foxys in this tournament. And yeah, his leader ability, actually, it does really well. And then he has a bunch of new purple support now, thanks to 09. Right, he has access to Gungam Giant, he has access to the Rush Sanji and Rush Luffy if he needs it. And he just does well into a lot of the top meta decks. Right, it's good at preventing Luffy, his big bodies from attacking, because you can freeze one leader and one character. Good for Doflamingo too, you can stop him from using his leader ability in the late game. Good against Bonnie, because they only play like one big thing at a time, you can stop it from attacking. Just like how she stops you from attacking with her leader ability. Good into Shanks too for that same reason. Maybe not as much because yeah, his characters get rushed too, so they'll at least get one attack off before you like freeze it with your leader ability. And if he's doing that back to back, it might get overwhelming. And then he doesn't really rely too much on play, so he does pretty well into Blackbeard too, I would bet. Right, you can stop their 10 beards from attacking, or keep it rested, right? That's what it does. It doesn't stop it from attacking, keeps it rested, so they can't even block with it. And yeah, the 7 cost Foxy just being able to debuff everything also makes it a little harder for your opponent to attack into you. So I do think Foxy deserves to be in B at the very least. Maybe even A, but I think B is a good starting point until we see people get better with it and like maybe develop better builds. Luchi, I think, I mean, he should be A, but I feel like B? No, he's still A. He's not S tier anymore, I don't think. But yeah, definitely A tier. He does get locked out from a lot of his strong on plays because of Blackbeard, but he's able to KO the Purple Luffy's bodies pretty easily, right? With the Luchi, you can KO 2 characters. That deals with them really well. Deals with Doflamingo really exceedingly well. Has trouble against Black Yellow Luffy historically. Good into Bonnie. Bonnie got nothing new, so Luchi's still as good into Bonnie as he was. Probably by that same metric, good into Shanks too, if Bonnie's big bodies are easy to remove. So yeah, still solid pick. He's able to do that like Gakomori into Rebecca into Spandine into Luchi combo. And then we have Vegapunk. I have to do honorary mention here. Would he be a B tier deck? I'll put him in C, because really all I know about him is that he's really good into Blue Doflamingo. I don't think we saw a Vegapunk get top 8 though, right? No top 8. Nah, but yeah, I'm aware he's strong. I think I just don't know how to play the deck. I think like Kai from the Kyla Kai, is that how you pronounce your channel? He offered to like teach me how to play Vegapunk. I have to take him up on that offer, but I just haven't had the time. So once I learn how to play him, yeah, I'll have a better idea how strong he is, and then I'll make more Vegapunk videos. I don't think I have any Vegapunk videos. Right, I made like a joke one where I said I was gonna play Vegapunk, but it was actually a Kalgara video. So yeah, maybe I'll link up with him, have him teach me, or if he's still available and willing to teach me, and then yeah, I'll have a better grasp on where to place Vegapunk. But for now, I'll be respectful to the Vegapunk stance and put him in C. Even though, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys want him to be higher. You get mad at me if I don't put him in B, but put him in C. I think that's all the relevant leaders that I had in mind. Let me glance over the rest real quick. I don't think any of these should be up there. Should they? You guys will let me know, and I'll make like a part 2. Or in a couple of weeks when the meta is solidified, I'll know which ones I missed. But for now, this is what I think the OP09 meta will look like for us initially. This is like week 1 meta tier list. I do think like things change always throughout the meta, right? Back in 08, Zoro was strong in the beginning, like I predicted, and then he fell off near the end. So metas do shift towards whatever new tech is found, if there's any new tech to be found still. So do keep that in mind when you're watching this video and then hearing my final thoughts on this. But yeah, this is my list. What do you think? Let me know. Did I get anything wrong that you disagree with? Let me know in the comments. I'm open to hearing outside suggestions too. I'm not saying this is like a definitive tier list. I don't want anything to be set in stone. Things are boring when things are set in stone. So if like this list is completely wrong and things are changing drastically, that just makes me more excited, right? That means there's just more to the game that people have left to learn, right? I don't want a solved game. I want like a dynamic and like kind of like new frontier feeling in this card game. So that's my take on it. That's where I'm coming from. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and comment and subscribe if you're not already. And thanks for watching. Bye.
Card Kaizoku.